And we're back with a noted jazz composer and arranger who also headed COC's jazz department for 27 years through the end of 2004. Now, Dirk, during that period, you also were a director of the Studio Jazz Ensemble Big Band. And that was a great experience, I'm sure. But what was your favorite thing about being the director of that group, aside from having a group to play your material for you?
Well, not just the thrill of the performances of the group, but the fact that I had returning students that felt that their experience during the time they were with me was part of the impetus for their careers, many. And as they came back, it's one of those rewards that you don't expect, for people to come back years later and pay tribute.
Well, that's what it's all about, though. You're investing in the futures of these people.
Hopefully.
And they're bringing it back, and they're sharing it with the young folks. And that's a dynamic that is definitely a positive for the life of the band.
I had 1,000 teachers myself.
Like who, for instance?
Gil Evans, amongst others.
In the Army, right?
Yeah, but other people that, for want of names, nonetheless, a man that befriended me when I was in my first Army band by the name of Al Druten. We still talk today. The man is still alive. And so forth. So a lot of people had influence on me. Nobody really taught jazz. There was not a course in school, at least when I was a young man. And of course now there is, some of it valid, some of it questionable. But the thing is it becomes a part of the music history of the world.
Right.
That is America's classical music, jazz.
Definitely. Well, the Studio Ensemble Big Band was representing the Santa Clarita Valley and COC and great jazz for a number of years. And after you retired, you continued to work with them. In what capacity? Tell us a little bit about your continuing role.
Mostly working as an assistant to Casey Mangy, the director of the organization now, helping her with program material. I wrote special arrangements for most of the programs for the last several years for her, up to and including a recent performance of a children's opera.
How about that?
Called the Three Little Piggies Opera or something like that. So I did background music for the orchestra, mostly to make us look good. The kids did fine. The group did just fine. The audience loved it. We had done a previous show with the same group of children's choir for Christmas. I also had added an arrangement for that, for their production of that as well, and so forth. I'm working in the background.
Now, when you were directing the Studio Ensemble Jazz Band, what was the greatest challenge that you had in keeping it going and keeping the quality of the music as high as it was?
Enrollment, recruiting, keeping valid performers coming into the group. It's very easy in school to miss 10% of your testing scores and things like that and still get an A.
Right.
But when you get into performance, anybody that misses 1 out of every 10 notes has no place. Just thought I'd mention it.
Yep. It's got to be right. It's like math. It's either right or it's not. Now, our next musical performance is off the record. Again, they're performing Bitter Leaf. What's the story behind that piece?
It was essentially an exercise in crossed rhythms in waltz tempo, which is in 3,
Right.
as an instruction for my eldest son, whose name is Andre Fisher, who was responsible for the group Rufus.
Right.
And later on, then my brother picked up the tune.
Claire.
Claire,
Right.
and he wrote an arrangement on it for his big band. And I have, since that time, worked it over for several different groups.
Well, great. Well, let's hear Off the Records version of Bitter Leaf on House Blend. That's Off the Record on House Blend with Bitter Leaf. It's a waltz written and arranged by the legendary Dirk Fisher. I'm Stephen K. Peoples, your House Blend host on SCV TV, and I'll be back with Dirk and more Off the Record right after this short break.